Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.
Most bankers aren't ready to help you until after their third cup of coffee. But with Central National Bank's after-hours service, you don't have to wait for the bank lobby to open to get help. You can contact us from 6 to 8:30 in the morning or from 5 to 10 in the evening, and we'll connect you to a real, live, local person who can answer questions and fix problems 7 days a week. Bank different. Bank Central. Central National Bank. Member FDIC.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
I'm Jordan.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is Astrology Table for Two.
And there's always a third chair for you. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jordan.
And this is Astrology Table for Two.
Where there's always a seat at the table for you.
And this is the full moon in Capricorn, happening the 21st of June at 8:09 p.m. Central Daylight Time at just 1 degree of Capricorn.
Okay. Explain this to me.
So Capricorn is actually a sign that the moon is not particularly comfortable with. We get the full moon in Capricorn during Cancer season typically. And
so this is a normal thing that tends to happen?
Oh, always
Okay.
a full moon in Capricorn at this time.
Okay, I
always.
didn't know that. I always learn something new with Rachel.
The opposite sign of the sun. And let it be known that we are still in Gemini season as we are recording this.
Mm-hmm.
So if we sound more Gemini than the moon is, that's why.
The energy is still there.
Yeah.
It still surrounds us.
Oh, yeah. And Mercury and Venus are still in Gemini. They will not be very, very soon as of tomorrow. So, yeah, talk about Gemini talking about itself. That's what we're doing right now.
Okay, yeah, sorry. We got sidetracked there.
But this full moon happens every Cancer season. We are going to get 2 full moons in Capricorn. And the moon in Capricorn is in its own detriment or in its space of difficulty in expression. And this is because Capricorn is the furthest that the moon can get from Cancer. It's all the way across the zodiac. And Capricorn is our cardinal earth sign ruled by Saturn, the 10th sign, and it's represented by the goat. So kind of just to sum things up, the moon in Capricorn is performance oriented.
Okay. Is it a bit tense?
Yes.
Is tension kind of like
It's
maybe
driven.
a theme? It's driven, yeah.
Yeah. The tension of performance within an emotional space. So all the moon things like nourishment, nurture, emotionality.
Kind of the opposite.
Capricorn's like, let's get shit done.
Yeah. We don't have time to feel. What are you doing? This is unproductive.
Right. We need productivity.
Yeah. What the fuck are you doing?
And speaking of productivity, so Jordan and I decided just independently, without talking, that we wanted to do caffeine only, just caffeine. So no alcohol, no relaxation. We are on one today. So let's pop our Alanis.
Oh my God. I'm ready.
Ah, satisfied.
Oh, sorry.
Ooh.
That one
Excited.
kind of exploded. All right.
That one was excited. It is still Gemini season. But Capricorn, especially when the moon is full here, Capricorn wants to perform fully. That's the best way of saying it. To show up in the most efficient, adroit, powerful way possible, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, but it's where Mars exalts. So Saturn and Mars stuff is almost anathema to or antithetical to moon stuff.
Oh, okay.
And this is also kind of highlighted in this lunation because the moon's closest aspect that it's making to anything is in opposition to Venus at 5 degrees of Cancer. So it's kind of like what I want and what I need are 2 different things.
Oh, that's the tension right there. That's the friction.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
And I mean, we like contact with Venus. Like that's kind of a nice closest aspect to make. But at the same time, that opposition is a 180-degree angle of the nature of Saturn. So it's like, what am I gritting my teeth and bearing?
Right. And I feel bad for the people that are super emotional or very tied to their emotions like I am. This is going to be not rough. It's going to be an intense transition.
Well, you'll be okay because you have Moon in Scorpio, which is its fall. So you're like, no, I know what this is like.
I know what it entails. I don't like it, but I know what it entails.
I have to bury it and
All right, good point.
And just get it done and keep it secret. Or
my Venus is in Capricorn.
Oh, well, there you go. This might be actually a little bit nicer.
Yeah,
for
maybe.
you. And I mean, talking about emotionality and performance, we're only doubly emphasizing these because, we've talked about the Capricorn and Cancer axis, which is earth and water. But then also the ruler of the moon, Saturn, is at 19 Pisces, where it will station retrograde.
Shit.
So more water, more emotion, more squishy.
Yeah.
And then yet more like, hold on, even though you're feeling all kinds of ways and Saturn's about to retrograde, so we're about to review all the feelings, like let's also get things done despite.
How can we use this to be productive? Can we transmute these emotions into something productive?
I think that is the moon in Capricorn's question.
Yeah.
Like you
really Are you able to do it?
Yeah. No, how?
Yeah. Or
how do you do it?
Yeah.
How does one harness emotional or spiritual energy into materially actually productive things?
Well, I feel like Capricorn will figure it out. They always do. Always.
They're the leaders, right? The 10th sign in the zodiac. They are the workers. They are the professionals.
Mm-hmm.
They're the managers.
They're structured. They're driven. Hard fucking working people.
Emotional management. That's what I'm getting from this. This moon is emotional management.
Compartmentalizing, maybe
100%.
Yeah, like learning to, not in an unhealthy way, and it could be unhealthy for some people, but learning to box those away,
that like
to where they need to be.
You just described the essence of the moon in Capricorn. Like that is it.
All right, that's our show, guys.
And now we're done. That we also have Mercury at 9 Cancer, so it's also opposite to the full moon. And it's not quite as close an aspect as Venus, right? It's not, it's got an 8-degree orb, so it's kind of just out there. But it's sextiling Mars at 9 Taurus the same day. So I'm reading this as that our heads and our bodies, they have to get on the same page. Oh. So think closure, think reconciliation, think that compartmentalization for, building or storage or whatever. And also potentially, if we can muster it, actual emotional release that allows us to then perform.
Yes. Oh my God.
And perform what? Well, what work are you doing?
Yeah.
That's what Capricorn's doing.
When are you going to get it done? Yeah.
The work in your life. And for some people, right, check out where Capricorn is in your chart because we will have another full moon here. I know. It rarely happens, but the next full moon is also going to be this moon in detriment in Capricorn.
It's okay. We have our 100 milligrams of caffeine.
Yeah.
We're ready.
Yeah. Our baby Alani's. Exactly.
We'll take on the day.
Yeah. Because Capricorn also, it will consume a ton of caffeine, but not all at once because it knows that's not productive.
No, it will do it in a structured, organized way.
Dosed.
Yeah. Planned.
Exactly.
This has been planned for months.
And they're huge. So Capricorn is all about the efficiency of routine and a path between A and B. And with moon-related stuff, with love and nurturance and mothering and caring and, that's hard to plan out, like step 1, 2, and 3. But that's what we're going to be asked to do.
And one thing I've observed about just people with strong Capricorn placements in general, there's always a backup plan.
Oh, yeah.
Always. And if there's not one backup plan, there's up to like 10 backup plans. Just in case.
It's logic.
Yes. But they have a solid plan, usually. And if it doesn't work, they have another solid plan.
Well, and here's the crazy part, though, is that all the Capricorns out there, y'all are currently being ruled by transit by Saturn and Pisces. And so one difficulty is that faith itself necessarily defies logic or else it wouldn't be necessary. Right? Faith, you wouldn't need it, nor would you think about it. And if you knew everything and it was all laid out and you had all those plans, right? Like the things we have to have faith in are the things that you cannot plan.
Yeah.
And Capricorn is great in an emergency or in high emotion situation because it can compartmentalize those emotions and save them for later. But I think we might have a tension, like you were saying earlier, between how we want to show up versus how we actually can.
Yeah. Ooh, and it kind of makes me think like just being in this heavy, or having been about to change in this heavy Gemini energy. It's kind of like we've been floating, you know, and we're finally returning back to the ground, but we don't know where we might land, or maybe we don't know where our feet is going to touch down, but we're ready to be grounded.
Or when we do touch the ground, we're like, oh shit, there's a lot of work down here.
Yeah.
Like we've been flying above.
The path is not paved. What?
Yeah. Like let's get my toolkit.
Yeah.
Let's get to work.
Yeah.
Let's get serious.
Okay.
Getting serious. That's what it really feels like. But the kind of serious that cares.
Yeah. It's not like an unproductive serious. Like it's a,
well,
it's maybe intentional.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Tons of intention, because Capricorn is cardinal. So we're directional here. There'll be a lot of Cancer placements. So we care about the process, care and process. But like when you hurt, you care so much it hurts.
Yeah.
That's like a little bit of the Moon in Scorpio knows. You know
Unfortunately.
exactly.
Wait, what do you mean?
We are going to care a lot and yet feel as if we have to struggle through or press through or push through, very Capricornian words.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that emotion or whatever that felt and sensed big stuff is, and just reach the goal.
Okay.
And if you guys out there are thinking about any emotional goals or personal goals or family-oriented goals, maybe especially like home-oriented goals, I know this is going to be kind of silly, but okay, so families with school-age children, when do they move if they move? They always move over the summer.
Yeah.
Because they want their kids to be in new school by August.
Yeah.
So they're moving in June and July, hence when we have the full moon in Capricorn, and like picking your shit up for the family, putting it somewhere else.
But being hopefully in an organized manner, right? Or in a planned manner.
Oh, yeah. But you can never quite plan entry into a new world.
No. And that's like completely emotionally upheaving. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially for a kid.
Mm-hmm. And that is also kind of moon in Capricorn-ish, like having to move to where your parents have to move for their work.
That is such a good analogy. I love that. Being a little kid, you don't have a choice. You have to move and you have to make it work.
And then when you get to that new school, you've got to be a good student. Just like you can't just not be.
Yeah. You have to make a good impression. You have to perform.
And make friends.
You have to make friends. Yeah.
Do all the Cancer stuff.
You have so many choices to make, and that's terrifying. As a little kid.
Well, because you were previously on a track.
Yeah. And you had your life laid out in front of you, and then the track, you switched tracks suddenly.
Yeah. I think
and you weren't ready for that. Yeah.
But when are we ever ready for major structural change?
No, never.
Yeah.
Like even when we plan for it, like, are we really actually ready?
Yeah.
I'm not usually emotionally.
Well, what is the saying that there's no perfect time to have a child? Like you're never quite ready to become a parent. Like that's very moon and Capricornish as well. Because it is the dichotomy to the Cancer axis. Like there is this desire to procreate and to nurture and to have a family. Yeah. But then the actual doing of it is fucking work.
Yeah. And it's hard work too. Mm-hmm. It is very hard work.
It's adjustment and it's rebuilding of your identity and your internal mode of operation. Like you're putting somebody else first.
Yeah. And then that also can cause a shift maybe in your personal values.
Oh,
your morals,
maturity.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Very Capricornian.
And Saturn in Pisces is like, hey, you're gonna mature.
Yeah.
You are, because for the benefit of all beings, especially your close and
so it will be. It's a beautiful maturity, but it's like, when are you ever really ready for it? You're shifting mindsets at that point.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of shifting, I think that we should transition into our top 3 transits, unless we have a break for the word from the sponsors? ?
Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support and a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.
Okay. If we do, it was taken.
Okay, good.
And now, speaking of shift, our first transit.
Ooh, Saturn stations retrograde at 19 degrees Pisces on Saturday, June 29th at 2:15 p.m.
I know the ruler of this full moon and the next full moon is stationing retrograde. First thing that happens. Best laid plans disrupted.
Oh, yeah.
But, I kind of like this because, okay, so any planet that is retrograde does, because it's hanging motionless in the sky, pull focus to itself. And obviously, when a planet is retrograde, it's not actually moving backwards. It's just its elliptical orbit and our turning on our axis. It looks like
It's
it
just
appears
kind of,
to.
it's in stillness.
And we can't actually, move backwards in life.
No.
But we can feel like we're backsliding.
Mm-hmm.
That's the retrograde. And in this case, it's about some historical issues.
Oh,
Saturn, time. So think contraction, austerity, limitation, challenge, et cetera, all those Saturnine things.
Mm-hmm.
Saturn is a difficult planet to please, but it will always give us what we deserve. That's why it exalts in Libra. Like if you put in the work, like if you practice that freaking instrument, you will play like a maestro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And I think that's the Cancer Capricorn axis. So I feel like for a lot of people, especially with Saturn being in Pisces, this retrograde is going to be a bit more existential, spiritual.
I haven't had one of those in a while.
Right? Some sort of like revision of belief.
Mm-hmm.
That's very Piscean.
Yes.
And maybe reinforcing your own emotional support structures or undergirding, like fixing the foundation.
Yeah.
I like that. Fixing the foundation of your house. It sucks, but
yeah, because you can water it all you want, but if it's too dry, you're gonna have to fix it anyway.
And Capricorn is cold and dry.
Yeah,
totally. And so with Saturn heading retrograde, and I think during that lunar cycle, a lot of what we imagine that we're going to move forward with Capricorn, we might have to revise Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Oh, maybe dreams that we have or pursuits that we're having and being like, hold on, I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board on that one.
Yeah, I need to revise this plan. Yeah.
And it might be something we've spent a lot of time doing.
So it's going to be a little bit disappointing to have to do that. Yeah, you're going to be a little bit sad about that.
I think disappointment is probably the best.
It's like disappointing,
word.
but not surprising.
Unmet expectations.
Yes. Yeah.
And everybody knows, like when you expect somebody to show up, for example, there's always the chance that they stand you up.
Right.
But
it's only 50% chance,
hopefully less.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're looking at it from like a coin flip,
they either show up or they don't.
Yeah, right.
So that possibility is one of the only two that there are. So you have to consider it. But when they don't show up, you're like, all right, now what's my new plan? So now I'm at a bar by myself. What are we doing?
Yeah. How can we fix that? Do I have a backup plan? Probably.
Yeah.
But is it going to make sense in that moment?
Should I take myself to dinner? Should I just go home?
What should I do? Yeah. Like, do I hit up friends? Do I invite them out?
I'm like upset about this, but do I show it in public?
Right.
Yeah. I think we're going to have a lot of those sort of emotional issues and maybe reviewing how we handle emotional issues.
Ooh.
Growing up is hard to do.
I think I'm ready for that. Maybe I need to do that.
I feel like as a millennial, there are a lot of us who are hitting that time when we're realizing we're going from adolescence into like almost midlife.
Yeah. I forget that I'm 31.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm an adult. I've been an adult for
like
over
now
10 years.
I'm 100%.
But I was like, I'm an actual adult. And I've just been kind of like floating through life. Like it's a wild, strange, yet jarring kind of grounding feeling, like, oh, I'm in an adult body and I'm only getting older. And it's a privilege to be getting older.
Yes.
But I am getting older.
And wiser.
Yes, hopefully. I don't know about that.
But less innocent.
Yes.
We trade that. And that experience brings like a much more grounded, realistic.
Right. It brings you wisdom.
Yes.
And it's like, it's worth it. But yes, you lose that innocence ultimately.
And it's feet touching the ground, right? So not living entirely up in the ethers of like anything is possible.
Yeah, that Piscean energy of living in a daydream.
Romeo
almost.
and Juliet.
Yes.
Meeting my love.
Right.
Like now I've met not just one love, but like I've met some loves.
I've met many, and I've been hurt and I've been scorned, but I've also learned a lot, learned a whole fucking lot. And I don't think I would even change how everything went.
Of course.
Yeah. Like I'm glad I'm the person I am today because of that.
And I think there's going to be a lot of that life review type stuff, especially between now and the time that Saturn stations direct on November 15th. So it's, retrograde for quite some time, and Saturn retrograde is most impactful or most easily felt around the time of station. So either, right now stationing retrograde or then stationing direct. The in-between, it's not like Mercury retrograde where you're like, oh, everything's going to be haywire and no one can travel right. And
right.
It's not quite so visible, but it's a bit more of that, like you were saying, that sort of life review, existential, like I wouldn't change a thing, but now I'm here. And
what
now
do I
that
do?
I'm here in
Where
the
do I
grand
go?
scheme.
Who am I? Yeah.
And like, what do I ultimately want to do with my time, the time that I have?
Right.
And what is important to me to invest in?
And that shift in values probably begins.
I think that we also might realize that we have changed. Like all of a sudden, that realization where you're like, fuck.
I'm so different. Yeah. Than I used to be. That's like kind of one of my favorite realizations though. It's kind of exciting to me because I'm like, I feel like younger me would really like this version of me. I don't know if I would like the younger version of me, but I would be compassionate towards that version of me because I didn't know who I was.
Well, and who can before you have enough time to view it, right? Before that Saturn return, you're not really completely sure of your own solid presence in all aspects of your life. You can't be.
Yeah.
So first 30 years are like that. And speaking of Pisces and retrogrades, we have our second transit, which is Neptune stationing retrograde at 29 degrees Pisces on July 2nd at 4:19 a.m.
So much Piscean energy going on.
Dude, it's pulling focus. And this is Neptune retrograding at the last degree. So in the anaretic, intense degree before state change.
Oh.
Which is going from liquid to plasma. So it's very intense. But Neptune stationing retrograde there will pull focus to the Neptunian.
Yeah.
The dreamlike, the fuzzy, the nebulous.
And Neptune rules Pisces.
In the modern astrology sense, yes.
Okay.
Rachel is a traditional Hellenistic astrologer, and so Rachel thinks that Jupiter rules Pisces.
I trust Rachel more.
Well, but I do agree with you that
Yeah.
Neptune has a great affinity for Pisces.
Right.
And so I almost treat it like an exaltation ruler of Pisces, where like they just vibe.
Yeah.
Like
they vibe really well together.
Yes,
Okay.
Neptune is all possible consciousness and state of awareness, and Pisces is like, show us every felt and sensed possibility.
Neptune is such an interesting planet to me too. I don't know enough about it.
But see, that is so Neptunian.
I know.
To be nebulous.
It's very
to be like,
unknown. It's very mysterious.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that there's going to be some expansion of inner vision and maybe like a reconsideration of what's possible. And in that Saturnian sense, since it's also retrograding, it might be like what I thought was possible. Like, let me take that sphere and contract it a little bit. But then I might also kind of realize that there's this whole other sphere of possibility that I hadn't considered.
Okay.
So like I thought this big thing was possible. I'm realizing only a little bit is possible. But wait, over there is a whole new world.
I didn't see that.
Right. And so
because your vision was, you were so tunnel visioned on the one sphere.
And that is very Capricornian.
Okay.
Like the blinders of like, I'm going to drive forward,
where did this come from? Yeah.
Get this done. I'm a mountain goat.
Yeah.
I'm going up and down.
Yeah.
Like,
in my path, in my routine, my carved path.
Yep. I think there'll be a lot of paradigm shift with both of these retrogrades. And it might be, and I know some of y'all out there are very committed to your religious or spiritual beliefs. This retrograde, Neptune especially, but Saturn as well, it's coming for those.
Ooh. Ooh, I'm kind of excited. I'm excited about that because I feel like I'm always changing what I believe spiritually, but that's because I'm just open to
Sag.
But yeah, you know me. I'm just open to whatever. I just love the idea of magic. So I'm like, well, it's always around me. Like how exciting. Like what else am I going to learn about the world around me or like the world I can't see?
That's super Neptunian
Yeah.
as well. Neptune retrograde, I think, especially in Pisces, is going to be a lot of altered states. Maybe even like bringing up deja vu, nostalgia, like old dreams that you used to have. If you ever had a repetitive dream,
Yes.
right? Those might pop back up.
Oh God.
Like a lot of things that seem to be out of thin air, or like you said, sort of magical, where you're like, oh my God, I haven't run into you in 20 years, but all of a sudden here you are out on the street.
Yeah, in downtown Waco. Like what? You don't even live here. What?
Yeah,
like
what's
why are
going
you
on?
here? Yeah.
Exactly. And especially people who might bring you information or bring you a new awareness. So, when you meet somebody and you're like, oh, what have you been up to in the last 20 years? And they're like, oh, I became a monk in Tibet and did this and that. And you're like,
Wow, holy shit.
tell me.
Please, yeah.
What's going on? Yeah, professional horseback rider. What? Tell me about the equestrian life.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just like wild stuff.
Okay. Ooh.
Which I'm excited for.
I think that's going to be fun. It might be like jarring to some people, but I think it's going to be pretty fun.
Well, and Neptune, like Saturn, is retrograde for quite some time. So it will be retrograde until December 7th. So really, between now and like the holiday season, we're getting a lot of this review of those bigger, more emotional, more spiritual concepts. And I think we're going to feel ourselves softening.
Yeah.
Like the veil will be thinner around this Neptune retrograde time. So if you're into mysticism
a little
at
scary, I like it.
do it.
And I kind of feel like I'm trying to figure out how to word this. With those altered states, with that relearning of maybe our core beliefs, how can we use that change to like be productive in our own personal lives?
Dude, this
You know what I'm
reminds
saying?
me
Yeah,
as
like-
well of like, how certain like super professional people will be like, all right, I'm going to go do an ayahuasca ceremony in the jungle
And
so I
you're
can get my shit together.
Yeah, yeah,
And they come back to the office and they're like, all right, now I'm a different person.
Right.
Much more productive.
yeah.
Like I got rid of my demons. I'm good.
I have been exercised.
Yeah. Like I considered my whole life in the jungle and now I'm reborn.
I know my purpose. All right, I'm gonna get to work.
And it wasn't fun. It wasn't
Yeah,
like chill and spacey and happy. It was like
terrible.
vomiting. And
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah. But we chose it and we wanted it. That,
Yeah.
To me, this whole lunar cycle.
That's
can
kind
be
of what
summed
it
up like
is.
that.
But it's gonna be fucking productive. So
Yeah.
buckle up, bitch. Like,
No one ever does ayahuasca because they don't
Because
want
they
to expand or like become better or become more safe, clear, faithful.
right.
That's what people are looking for.
Right.
Is that relief from their trauma.
You're not doing it
drama.
for fun. Like this isn't a fun activity.
No, but there is such joy in the release
Mm.
of what's weighing you down. And then you can actually,
But the purging is a process. It's a painful process. And that's why transformation bothers people so much because they don't want to go through that pain.
And speaking of us not wanting to or us wanting to, third transit is
Oh.
Mercury entering Leo on
Ooh.
Tuesday, July 2nd at 7:49 a.m. Central Daylight Time. So same day, same morning as this Neptune retrograde. And I feel like this Mercury in Leo is like, this is what I want.
Why are you not paying attention to me?
Oh, totally. But I feel like this Mercury in Leo with that Neptune retrograde on the same day is going to be a lot of more like, this is my passion. Let me express, like illuminate the world
Yes,
for
let
me.
me lead.
Yeah. Or like, who am I? Let's, a lot of
Ooh.
self-focus,
Yeah.
but not in a bad way.
No.
Maybe like creative expression or introspection or,
Oh, my favorite activity. I can't wait.
yeah. And with Mercury and Leo, I feel like we'll have a lot of, I wrote on the notes, incandescent conversations.
I like that.
When you talk to
Ooh.
someone and you're like, oh my God, your words are giving me life.
Yeah. Like you're glowing. We're both glowing from this conversation right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Like literally.
Yes. Like feeling like you're like, oh my God, light is being shed on all these things.
Yes.
Or like, I'm
Everything's so clear or like it's in a positive light almost.
Lighting me up.
Yes.
lighting me up. And Mercury does not have any real traditional power. So it doesn't rule Leo. It's not a triplicity ruler. It does have one Egyptian term in Leo from 18 degrees to 24 degrees. So I think as we get a little further into this, we'll be a little bit more able to express with clarity.
Okay.
Because Neptune retrograde is anything but clear. Neptune is anything but clear.
You literally, it's a gaseous planet. You're just floating.
Vaporized.
In there, vaporized. Maybe transitioning to water, maybe to plasma.
Nebulous.
No one knows. Yeah, you don't know. You will never know.
We're in the mystery. But Mercury and Leo in the mystery is like shining a flashlight into the fog, being like, I know I'm out there somewhere.
I'm here.
You know, where am I?
Or seeing the light from the distance, right?
Yeah, because I think a lot of times Mercury and Leo helps us to remember or to know what we like.
Yeah.
What lights us up. Like what,
and to enjoy it.
What gives us life.
Don't make it a chore.
Right.
Don't make it a job. Just enjoy it.
And self-knowledge, I think, is one of the most important. Isn't that the first thing at the Oracle at Delphi? The first inscription is know thyself. Like Mercury and Leo is here to give you a know thyself transit. And sometimes what we find is not always our favorite.
But the light will still be there.
Yes. And we have Mercury and Leo until July 25th.
Yippee!
Which will be fun, but I can't wait for the next, Mercury in Virgo is in the sign of its rulership and exaltation. Mercury is the only planet that rules and exalts in a planet. In one sign.
I knew it's okay. I knew what you meant.
I heard what you meant. But it's going to help us to actually bring structure and material planning to whatever we find out in this like spiritual first moon Capricorn cycle. Because then, the next lunation is the new moon in Cancer.
Oh.
So between our Capricorn full moons, we have the new moon in Cancer. That's the moon's home sign. So July 5th, we're going to get some real good moon.
I love that. A good weekend for maybe connecting with others in your home. And it's right after July 4th. And so a lot of people are going to be off work. People are probably going to take a long weekend because that's on a Friday, right? The new moon.
So the next day after that new moon, didn't plan this. My family did. They don't follow astrology. We're going on a family vacation for a week.
Oh my God.
First one in years. Whole family of origin, whole family that I've created,
I feel like all these transits, that just makes sense. Like with all the transits we just discussed.
We're going to the beach, so Cancer. Let's be around
I'm
water.
going to the beach mid-July. I'm
go.
very excited. Yes.
So you're doing the same thing.
I am. I'm so, you have no idea. I didn't get to go last summer, so I'm very excited to go. And I'm so excited that you get to go with your family. That's going to be a really wonderful, beautiful weekend.
I feel like Mercury and Leo with the new moon in Cancer later. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but like self-care.
Oh my God. And really, the like nurturing, self-care, nurturing, but also extending that love for yourself onto others.
Taking a break from our Capricorn work.
Yeah. Literally taking a vacation.
The workaholic goes on holiday.
I earned this PTO. I will be taking a vacation.
Exactly.
And I will not be answering my phone.
Yes. But maybe not all of the PTO because I want to get paid out at the end of the year for my remaining days.
So I only took 3 days, but.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now it's still my PTO. So do not contact me.
Right. I am out of the office.
Yes. Yes. Literally the emails where they automatically respond.
Yeah.
I will not be back until this day. I mean that.
That is totally that time period.
Yes.
I mean, you can tell which moon we all like better. I mean, we had
No, we're not that obvious.
Well, everybody I think likes a new moon in Cancer better than a full moon in Capricorn.
Especially during the summer. Come on.
Yeah, but we have to buckle down and then we get to relax.
That's okay. Yeah, I don't want to do the work, but I will. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, this has been the full moon in Capricorn, and I hope you have the most productive
and steadfast and disciplined day that you can have.
Exactly.
But also have a little bit of fun. Maybe some caffeine.
Well, and with these retrogrades in Pisces, maybe just like meditate and figure out what you want to do.
You know what? Yeah, journal a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's lay it all out.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.